Hey guys, welcome to the YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about something that is very important, and no, the title is not clickbait, it is 100% true. A lot of you know that for years my Star Wars collection has been housed right here next to Star Trek and in between Tenet and the Terminator. I've sold my Star Wars 4K collection. Now a lot of you might ask, Jamie, what are you doing and why would you sell Star Wars on 4K? They are considered the definitive versions of Star Wars after all. What are you doing? What is this about? So I'm going to explain my logic. Now, if I was going to sell 4K, and I've said this for the longest time, I am selling some of my collection. Why would I start with Star Wars? Of all things, Star Wars, the holy grail of many collectors, Many collectors say Star Wars, my collection is built around Star Wars. For me, I just felt like Star Wars on 4K kind of isn't needed, and I don't really feel like they're definitive. Now, here's the reasoning for that. A lot of us remember the DVD versions of Star Wars, especially those 2006 versions, the ones that had the limited edition disc in there that contained the original theatrical cut. Those ones for me are the definitive editions. And for the longest time I had, A New Hope and, episode 4 through 6, up to Jedi. I had them in my collection and I was like, you know what? It's cool to have them. I'm not really going to open them. They were sitting unopened for the longest time. Now I had to watch Star Wars episode 1 to 3, Phantom Menace, through to Revenge of the Sith. Now, Revenge of the Sith and Attack of the Clones, good. They're very good movies, but for me, I've always felt like just a bit too much, like too good, They were shot digitally, and plus, I didn't really feel like I was getting much of a benefit having them on 4K. Now, you might say, they looked phenomenal. What are you doing? For me, I just felt like, going back and watching The Phantom Menace, for example, when I was watching Phantom Menace, there were subtle changes between the DVD and the 4K, Blu-ray 4K. One of the big changes was Puppet Yoda in The Phantom Menace. The original puppet for Yoda was changed for CGI in the later versions. And these subtle little changes, they even for the original, like, not the original trilogy, but like for the original prequel trilogy, I felt like they just ruined the movie. You want to watch that the puppet Yoda. You want to watch that. You want to understand that what you're watching is the version that was in cinemas. And when changes occurred over time, there was a part of me that was just like, another change. Like, yeah, it's good. It's like the lightsaber battles. Yeah, cool. Episode 3 looks great in the lightsaber battles. But to me, I just like the experience of putting a DVD in the player. Like, I think I've got them off camera here. Let me just show you what I mean. Because a lot of you will have forgotten these sort of things. I think I've got two of Revenge of the Attack of the Clones here, so I'll just put Attack of the Clones right there. So some of you will remember these sort of things, these box sets. And for me, these are the way to watch Star Wars, because they're an actual experience compared to just like a generic cover. And for me, I'm kind of preferring the DVDs. Now, a lot of you might say, DVD, what are you doing? Like, how could you prefer a DVD over a shiny 4K? What, are you insane? You bought them and now you sold them? For me, I just don't care. And I know that's going to rub some of you the wrong way. But for me, I was not watching Star Wars every day. I mean, in the past decade, we've seen so much damage done to the Star Wars IP that to me, it's not even the holy trilogy anymore, It's not even like, oh, Star Wars, it's on this whole other level. It's on the same level as everything else now. Star Wars used to be a holy grail for many collectors, as I said. It used to be the thing that people will point to and say, oh, I've got Star Wars. My collection is good because I can build it around Star Wars and Indiana Jones and all these other things. Trust me, Indiana Jones might go next. But, because Indiana Jones has the same problem. They've changed that so many times. They've upgraded it, endlessly upgraded it, and it just hurts the movie. I've talked many times about Terminator 2 having that issue on 4K. I might even sell my Terminator 2 on 4K. And as it's very hot in this room today, it's a very hot day. You can probably see the sweat dripping off me. Maybe I'm turning to the dark side, I don't know. But you know what I'm saying? Like, this to me is just a bit of a extension of myself. And as I endlessly curate my collection, I'm trying to get it more reflective of me. I'm trying to show like, hey, what am I actually watching versus what am I just having here to look pretty or to say, hey, look at me, I'm a collector. Look at me having everything. I think Star Wars had to go first. Now, in amongst that collection that was there, I also had The Mandalorian, three seasons of The Mandalorian. I think I had Oscar or Ahsoka, or I don't know how to pronounce it. I also had Obi-Wan Kenobi. I had the TV shows. But for me, I wasn't watching TV shows. I had Solo in amongst that collection as well, the movie Solo and Rogue One. I did watch Rogue One in cinemas when it came out, but I never even watched Solo. I didn't even open it because, as I said, the endless damage to that IP over time has just been like, yeah, too much Star Wars. Back in the day, we had the original three. Then you had the prequel trilogy and it added to it, and it was like, okay, it's not the best, but it's still Lucas, it's still canon. There's some understanding of the IP. Then they did the sequel trilogy, and honestly, they lost a lot of us. But when I think about this, and I really start thinking about how do I feel now that Star Wars is gone? How do I feel about now the way they watch Star Wars? I probably have a Blu-ray somewhere of it, but how do I feel about watching these going forward on just DVD? Well, honestly, I kind of feel relieved. And I know that's going to sound weird to some of you, but I really feel relieved about having them gone. Honestly, I feel like it's taken a weight off my shoulder because I no longer have to have on a shelf here anymore. Oh, Star Wars! Look at this Star Wars here, and yes, episodes they're still sealed, but look at how good Star Wars is. And I always said I watched the first three. The first three are good, but I couldn't even watch the remastered, the episodes 4 through 6 because they didn't have the original theatrical version, and that's my preferred version, where Han Solo doesn't even shoot first. He just shoots Greedo without even, without even Greedo getting off a shot. There is no Han shot first in that version. The original crawl has, Rebel Spies or something is in lowercase. There's so many different things that are on the 2006 DVDs that just aren't on, like, the versions that came after. And I prefer Yub Nub at the end of it. I prefer hearing Yub Nub at the end of Jedi. I prefer hearing Yub Nub because that's the version I grew up listening to. And I didn't watch Star Wars till very late in my childhood, but I still grew up, after I watched it, I still grew up watching that version. And then it changed it. It changed it to some generic celebration of the universe or whatever it is. And honestly, I prefer the DVD. It's like, I don't understand how and why I did this, why I went out and bought stuff like Star Wars, when really, I'm not even, and I've got a lot of sweat there, by the way. I've got a lot of sweat on my face. But I don't understand why I needed to keep them. And I know some of you are going to criticize me over that, but hey, it's my collection. I can do whatever I want. Whatever, I do what I want. But you know what I'm saying. I think now, getting rid of Star Wars on 4K is the first step in downsizing because I wasn't watching it. As I said, when I was watching it, I was watching the Blu-ray, well, not Blu-ray, the DVD versions. And for everything else, that's despecialized. Realistically, the reason I bought the 4Ks was so I could download despecialized. And despecialized was the way to go. Like, that's the better way to watch it. Although I'm hopeful that they'll do a 50th anniversary or whatever, 40th, 50th anniversary, and we will get those original cuts back on DVD and Blu-ray and 4K from Disney. If that happens, I might go out and buy the original three, the original trilogy, if they've been restored with the original audio, the original everything. I mean, they could just download 4K 77 and then fix it from there. But that's what I want. I want it to be original. I want it to be as close to the cinematic experience as possible. And likewise, DVD is just good enough for me. I'm not religious about Star Wars. I'm not like, oh, the Holy Trilogy, always got to have it, always got to have the best of the best with the best of Star Wars. For me, the best of the best are the 2006 DVDs that have the original version in them, because that's the only physical media version in a recent era that isn't on VHS or Laserdisc that I can actually watch the original cut, or at least some version of the original cut, pre-97. I just think, selection for me is important. And why I feel like Star Wars has not catered to us as a fan base, I feel like, the Lucas era changes of like, hey, everything post 1997 is canon now. We're not going to even consider putting out the original versions or pre-97 versions. That's a Lucas era change that has remained with Disney. But come on, it's one of the most influential movies of all time, or one of the most influential franchises of all time. Now, episodes 7 through 9, or, I think they hurt a lot of people and ruined the fan base. I think a lot of the fan base was like, I'm done now. They brought back Darth Sidious because they had no one else. Palpatine. They brought back Palpatine because they had no one else. I am one of those fans. Like, I went and saw episode 7 in cinemas, and I was like, oh, okay. Kind of a New Hope-y with it. Kind of felt like a New Hope. Kind of appreciated it, I guess. But then we got episode 8, and I was like, okay, everything they've built in episode 7, they've just tore down in episode 8, and then they had to somehow finish episode 9 because they had another movie to go. I reckon if J.J. Abrams just directed everything in that trilogy, we would have had a more coherent story throughout it. But honestly, I wasn't watching The Mandalorian. I had them on TV shows here. I had them in the TV series, and I didn't watch them. I mean, I watched season 1 of The Mandalorian back in the day, but I never watched season 2. I never watched season 3. I knew the highlights. I knew what the fans were saying, but I never watched them. And this is the thing. Why did I have them then? And these are the questions I'm asking as I'm going to be downsizing. A lot of you know I'm going to be downsizing. I've mentioned it in a couple of videos now. I am going to be downsizing, but it's more of a curation than anything. Like, there is stuff in here that I don't intend to watch, and I never will rewatch, that I might even just do a bundle on like eBay and say, you know what? I'm getting rid of that, and because it went still on its own, I'll put like 5 Blu-rays or 4Ks together, sell them, get rid of them at one time. But I'm going to keep my go-tos. Like, A Nightmare on Elm Street is a go-to. That is one that's staying in my collection. I'm not selling that. The Crow, for example, I might even sell the Crow on Steelbook, because the issue I have with the Crow is this is a highly collectible Steelbook version, but realistically, because it's that rare Steelbook edition, I'm not opening it. So I might go out and buy the new version on 4K and then sell this one, because a collector might want to grade it and hang around their neck and say, look, it's a 9.5, look at this, like Logan Paul, I know it's going into a bit of a rant now, and that's what is very much evident. But yeah, what do you think, guys? Did I make the right call selling my 4Ks on Star Wars and going back to DVD? Or have I overstepped the line? Have I crossed a boundary here with you guys? Are the fan base going to lynch me for this one, Let me know. I think I've made the right call. And honestly, it's my collection, so I do what I want, whatever. Peace. Comment.